Okay, so we are rolling and we are good and cello. I'm Kathy with a K. Sometime radio broadcaster in Honolulu, Hawaii. POV is a talk story series, Radio Music Hawaii. It's February 2020, and I'm with Ms. Ahi, DJ Ms. Ahi. We are situated at the foothills of Diamond Head. I've read that somewhere. I've always wanted to say it. I said it.
I always see the bass, but that's probably because I'm a DJ.
Oh. I do not. The ones and twos, my Rhythm Nation is non-existent. They would revoke my card. Ahi, or is that a nickname, or?
Ahi is a name given to me by my grandmother, who is Tongan. Mm-hmm. She named me after the sandalwood flowers, the scented wood. So there are two flowers that grow in Tonga, the red one and the white one. Mm-hmm. She named me after the white one because it's fair, rare, and delicate.
Oh!
Ahi moi vunga o lota palasi, Johnson.
There's a tendency for Polynesians. If you have any kind of surname that is not of Polynesia, they really give them the first name or the middle name.
Yeah. Ahi is the sandalwood flower. Moi is and. Mm-hmm. Vunga is another flower. O loto is of the. Palasi is palace.
That's beautiful. Have you been living that life?
I did when I was younger.
Don't we all? Where are you originally from, of the islands or elsewhere?
I was born in Berkeley, California. Mm-hmm. I came here on a tour with my mom in 1965. 2-week group tour, and my mom had just gotten over some cancer and a divorce, and the doctor said, take the baby, go to Hawaii. So we came for 2 weeks, and we loved it so much we stayed another 2 weeks. We lived at the Moana Hotel for a month.
Wow.
And she was looking at me on the beach at sunset one night. I was wearing my mu'u. It was our last night, and she said, baby, and I turned around. She snapped a photo, and she said, do you want to live here? I was like, yes, Mama. Turned back, looked out at the ocean. We went back to the mainland. My brother was about to turn 21. As soon as he did, we were right back here.
Wow. Where were your stomping grounds?
Waikiki, the jungle.
But when you come into town and you deal with different surf breaks and beaches, just around the island, really, it gets very specific.
So I know you're not a townie,
I'm
because
not a
when I
townie.
say the jungle, anyone that's grown up in Waikiki, who's I guess my age, knows the jungle. Mm-hmm. The jungle was from like Kapahulu to Seaside Avenue, perhaps. Okay. Mateo's used to be.
Okay.
It's kind of that area, maybe a little bit further. But that was all jungle. It was all low rise. A lot of cottages in my neighborhood, which was like around Jefferson School, St. Augustine, and a lot of hippies, a lot of drugs, a lot of peace, love, and happiness. And it was a great time to grow up in Waikiki. Everybody knew everybody. You know, sun goes down. Hey, aren't you supposed to be home? Get home before I give you lickings. Mom will call, where's my child? Oh, I just sent her home. So it was great. It was a safe place to be. Your doors could be unlocked at night.
When did it fall out of fashion to refer to Waikiki as the jungle? When the high-rises started to
When
replace?
the high-rises started coming up. In my neighborhood, when they took out the cottages, I was in a 3-story building, and you could hear them putting the piles into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason they put the piles into the ground is, if you know your Hawaiian history, that there's water underneath Waikiki.
It's marshland
So
and coral.
yes,
And,
yes. So they were filling that up with cement so that they could put these huge high-rises on there, and it would shake, you know. And sometimes it would be a good beat, and you could dance to it. But for the most part, watching it grow up was heart-wrenching because it lost its charm. Waikiki lost its charm.
So very much like that Joni Mitchell song.
Yes.
Paved paradise,
exactly.
put up the parking lot. So Waikiki was where you were raised up and running around with like-minded individuals. Where did you attend school?
I went to Jefferson Elementary, which was right across the street, literally roll out of bed, brush my teeth. My mom ran a comb through my hair, and I went to school barefoot. It was great.
Wow.
Kaimuki Intermediate, Kaimuki High School. So yeah, I've always been a townie. I worked in Waikiki.
Where'd you earn your first paycheck where you're like, that's a lot of taxes? You know, that's like, yeah.
My first job, a lot of taxes came a little bit later. My first job, I was a jeweler's apprentice.
Oh.
For a gentleman named Giles. And he used to do the most unbelievable gold chains for the Hyatt. So I was the little girl at the table doing all the little fine work, and it was fun. I don't work for a living anymore. Yeah. This is Deja Vu Fashion and Arts Boutique. It's my baby. It's a donation-based boutique. Majority of the proceeds go to the church and to facilitate bereavement counseling. It also helps facilitate other counseling. My degree is in marriage and family therapy, and I'm a psychotherapist. And so it allows me to give counseling to people who can't afford it, who don't have insurance. I just did this mid-October with nothing, zero, no money, nothing. It just happened, and so I'm just doing it. I truly believe in word of mouth, and it's just a matter of getting the word out. Yeah, but it needs to go beyond the church, because there are other people out there that are in need as well.
Now there are more female DJs, radio broadcasters, and at the clubs. When you were spinning, there were not a lot of people, like when you were booking it in the clubs
There were
early
just
on.
two of us.
And who were the two people?
That
Ms.
was
Ahi?
Lisa D and myself.
Okay.
So Lisa D, I'm Lisa D's protege. She taught me. And James Coles is my protege. So it's like a family thing. I was a competition dancer. I met her back in the late 70s. And I used to go to her club, which was Nick's Fishmarket.
Okay.
And she was playing there because I loved her music the best. Like Carrie Lucas or Patrick Hernandez or Donna Summer, of course, when she was just known in the clubs, not on the radio.
Okay.
She had some great stuff.
So Lisa D was she spinning under Lisa D?
She catered to us, and she loved to see us dance because she loved to dance. We became best friends. We would come up with dance routines together, like the hustle. We would make up our own stuff. When we had the opportunity, we'd go out clubbing together, which would probably just be one night a week because Monday night was dark night for the industry people. One day somebody didn't show up for work and I was there, and she said, you know the music, you know how to do this. This is turntable 1, volume 1, turntable 2, volume 2, go. And that's how my career started.
What was it like getting behind the turntables? Now there's computers where it can count at the beats for you. There are mixes, like 35-hour mixes where you can, not you, but people can...
People who aren't real DJs?
Yeah. or DJs, like each generation has an understanding, and depending on where you came up, what it means to DJ and what it means to spin and what it means to do all these kinds of things, because when they're introduced to it, if they're lucky and they're curious, they get into the history and they find out about before CDs, before just downloading pre-made mixes.
Right.
Oh, you mean
where all that comes from.
You mean I can create a beat and take the vocals and create a whole new track if they're lucky and curious and they have the time. I don't want to say they have the money, because a lot of DJs don't have the money to do that. It's just a lot about the love of the song.
Yes.
And then more. For those who understand DJing techniques, they understand there's certain basics in 2020 that automatic, a club should provide.
So we had 2 Technique turntables. I don't remember if they were 1200s or 1500s or 1800s. I can't remember. We had the mixer in the middle. We had a monitor. 1 cone, not the headphone, just the cone. So you could do this.
Yes.
And it was pretty simple.
Was it all about beats per minute, the BPMs? Did you understand how to do it that way, or was it just by feel? What was your style versus what Lisa D was doing?
Beats per minute and the notes to the song, the keys. Like if you have like a C minor, you want to find a song that has a C minor and put those together and blend them so that I honestly don't know what a C minor is. But I know it when I hear it.
Okay.
And if something sounds like this, then I know I can blend them together and do a seamless mix. And people will go like, whoa, where did that come from? I didn't know she was changing the song. That, to me, that is a mixing artist. Anyone can go beats per minute and put this song with this song. And majority of the time I cringe because it doesn't match. It doesn't sound good. It just, there's not that artistic blend. I'm dyslexic. I'm very visual and auditory. So I can read music if I have to. I probably don't remember how to do it now because it's like French. I've learned both and I remember neither.
Okay.
So that's how my brain is wired. That's just how my brain is wired. It was Nick's Fishmarket, and it was a fine dining restaurant. Everything was built in.
Okay.
So we had, I remember what we called the bookshelf, the library of records here, and it was a lot of it was jazz, which I was able to take home. I still have to this day.
Wow, cool.
And then there were the records that I can't even remember exactly where that was. I was 19 years old. I don't think everything was labeled beats per minute like a lot of the DJs did. Lisa and I were both left-handed, so we both think on the same side of the brain, and neither one of us needed to really write anything down.
You just hear it once and remember.
You hear it once and you remember. Or I used to go in and I would practice for a little while, and then once I got what I wanted, I never forgot it.
Was there ever a mix or a signature?
Don't stop till you get enough into Rock Baby. Yes, Tower Power.
Is there such a thing as what your first 20 minutes would be?
I'm going to look around the room and figure out what my first 20 minutes are going to be.
Okay.
Because in that 20 minutes, I want to see someone's foot tapping on the stool, or I want to see this going on or this going on. Otherwise, I feel like I haven't touched them, and that's my job, is to touch people and to get them to move. If I'm just playing for myself, then I'm a selfish DJ and I shouldn't even be out in public. Go play at home in your bedroom. Public DJs play for the public, and you make that room move, and you make the bar people happy by making that cash register ring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you create this, I don't even know what to call it. It's like when people would walk into my club, they would know I was working. They could just tell by the way that I play. I know when I walk into a club when James is playing. I know when I walk into the Wave if Daniel J is playing.
Yeah.
There's just a certain, I think it's the love and passion that we have for the music is what it is. And we put that forward, and we like to share it with people, and people will recognize it.
When you were spinning in the late 1970s, 1980s, what were the clubs that Ms. Ahi's spinning at? Is it Ms. Ahi from the Get?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. I worked for a disco company called TJ Discos, and we had the monopoly of the clubs in Waikiki. So it would probably be best to ask me where I didn't work, which would be Annabelle's, Spat's, Red Lion.
Okay.
Everything else we had Nick's Fishmarket, we had Rex's, formerly known Rex and Eric's, we had Valentino's, we had Cilly's. We'd play here for 6 months or here for 2 months, or it was so much fun. Lisa and I worked together a lot. And TJ liked to put us forward because we were the two females, and we were pretty cute back then.
Still.
Technicians that would come in and do sound for us. So even though I really wanted to be a sound engineer, I never wanted to be a DJ. They wouldn't teach me that because you're a girl, put on your high heels and go do that.
Oh, okay.
So I never really got to learn the sound. But if anything happened, it was just call somebody. We didn't have cell phones back then either. And technician would come and fix it all, make it all right, and we just keep on bumping. For Nick's Fishmarket or Rex's, it was dining. And I would come in at 5 and play jazz, play lounge music.
Okay. Oh, instead of like piping in the PA system, it was actually somebody.
It was actually somebody in there playing the music, and we would do that from like 5 to 8, and then we'd start to bring it up so that by 9, 10 o'clock, we start the club. We're not throwing anybody out. We're not shutting anything down. We're conditioning.
Okay.
We're conditioning people to stay.
Actually, when did you feel comfortable saying that you were a DJ?
From the get-go, because that's what I was hired to do. I was hired to be a DJ, so that's what I was doing.
Were you doing anything else to supplement your income when you were a DJ?
I think, what was I doing? I was working probably 5 nights a week, maybe 6. I would say 5, but I was also going into the office and I was working on the reel-to-reels. Y'all know what reel-to-reel is, right? It's just 2 things that go around. And I would do the music for the restaurants.
Okay.
And I love doing that because I was learning how to splice
Sound
and dice
engineer,
tape,
yes,
and
yeah.
I was getting that sound engineer thing that I wanted to do. And I was very good at it. So TJ was giving me those to do during the day. And then at night, I would either be Lisa's off-night DJ, work 2 nights a week, and then work another 3 nights somewhere else.
When did it transition from how they were presenting that kind of entertainment?
For me, when TJ Disco's disband, I was picked up by one of the clubs that I worked at, which was AmFac. I was at the Beachcomber Hotel.
Okay.
And I got contracted out to the Big Island.
Oh, nice.
And I worked at the Foxy Lady on the Big Island.
Foxy Lady. Is that a wild coincidence?
Yeah, I know. I know. You know, I wanted to be an FM DJ. If I was going to be a DJ, I wanted to be an FM DJ. We had barely started with FM. And when I got my dream job, my first radio job was KISA, the last radio station on your AM dial. It was a Filipino station. And I was the American girl from 7 to midnight. And I played my version of Top 40.
Okay, yeah.
And it was a lot of fun because I got to be very creative. I didn't have a playlist. I didn't have to do anything but PSAs and commercials. So the creativity was so much fun. It was a blast. But I missed the nightclub because I like the instant gratification. When I play a song, I can see how you're reacting and responding, and I can feed off of that. And with radio, it was like someone had put blindfolds on me, and I wasn't sure what I was doing. I did it full time for 15 years. Then I decided I really wanted to go to college to become a therapist because I'd been wanting to do that since I was in high school. But I was told, no, Ahi, you're artistic, you're not scholastic, go paint. So that's when I started dancing. And then in the dancing, I became a DJ, and I was getting tired of staying up till 4 because the clubs, there were less and less clubs doing 2 o'clock and more clubs doing 4. And I was getting tired, so I did it part-time. And that was fun because I worked with J-Rock and Doc J, and we did the military clubs.
Tell me about the military circuit. I've understood or got some stories about the military circuit when it comes to live bands.
It was very, very soul, very funk. It was everything that we were not really allowed to do in the Waikiki clubs. Because at that time in the 80s there was prejudice. I was sad because that's the music that's out there, and it's good stuff. The military clubs, we got as funky as we wanted to be. Everybody was drinking, they were having a good time. Very few fights. If there was a holiday on Monday, we would have something called an all-nighter, and we would go all night because the military base is exempt from the 4 o'clock thing. So we'd go till sunrise. Well, I can remember Cilly's when, you know, the police they'd actually start parking their car out there in front of the club because there was sure to be a roll.
Cilly's and Wave Waikiki, to the best of my recollection, had very strict ID checks. Like you could not, there's just no way you could go there.
We had to.
Yeah, and so, and that's what kind of lent to the legend and lore of those 2 particular nightclubs, at least when I was first coming up. When did you work at Cilly's? When did you get introduced?
From the day they opened.
And
I opened that club. It was 1983. They were open for 12 years. I was there the first 5.
what was it like at Cilly's when it first opened? Because I only went a few times, and again, like I remember it kind of vaguely because that wasn't the club I would really go to with any kind of regularity. Again, very strict.
Yeah. Yes.
But I remember it. You had to go. It was downstairs. There was like a basement, kind of low
very
ceiling.
low ceilings. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
So there was a club at the bottom of the Reef Hotel called Cilly's.
Okay.
They were shut down, unfortunately, because someone died. There was a shooting. There were 2 bartenders there, Heine and Leroy. They bought out the guts of Cilly's and put it into Cilly's. So that long back bar came from Cilly's. All the Tiffany lights came from Cilly's. All of the lounge seating, when you walk in the door and you go up those 2 stairs, all of that came from Cilly's. So it was trying to recreate that because it was a very popular club. Creating that, keeping a local vibe.
Yeah, it was a very
very local, because there were other clubs coming in that weren't so local, and they really wanted to keep the local vibe. So they succeeded in that. What I loved about it personally was the DJ booth was made to my specifications. So there weren't a lot of people who fit in it. Other than Lisa, because Lisa and I were the same build. The boys didn't like it. It was too small.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It was made for a girl. 2 turntables mixer. I had at an angle at my request because I'm left-handed. I wanted the top records that I could just file through. And then I had a library down here and something down here. And eventually when videos started coming out, they built a case on top of it, and we had the VCR machines, so we could run that through the system and play the videos. Was
there video mixing back then, or was it just?
Oh God, yes, that was the nemesis. I hated doing that. I hated doing it. There were some really awesome video DJs like Victor Sam.
Victor
Sam I miss him so much. Yeah, he didn't even have that DJ persona. He was just
whatever that is.
Victor Sam, knowledge guy of all music.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
You could ask him anything. Anything. Or on Facebook, he would call out DJs, hey, Miss Ahi, did you know? Hey, James Cole, did you know?
Yeah.
And come up with these unbelievable facts, and we'd all sit there and look at each other and go, did you know that? We worked together at the winery, which is how I really got to know him.
What is the
winery was at the Outrigger West Hotel. Victor also used to work Red Lion.
And that's another one, it's downstairs.
We got to think about the downstairs. Lisa and I switched. But she went to Cilly's and I went to the winery, and Victor and I worked together. And he was the most phenomenal VJ that I'd ever come across.
What did it mean to mix videos?
You can't touch it like you can touch vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, and you can, it's like play, pause, rewind, stop, play, pause. That's all you've got. We didn't have those little controllers that you have now.
Scrub it or scroll or
we
whatever,
didn't have that. It was so raw and so annoying. You have a reputation for being on beat, and you know, it's like I had said earlier, when you walk in a room and you know who's spinning.
Yeah.
Well, they're also going to know when you make a mistake.
Oh.
And you don't want to make a mistake. After the winery, I went to the new power station.
Old power station was
at the Ilikai.
Okay.
And then the new power station was on Kuhio Avenue. So power station was on the second floor, and then I DJ'd with Darren Gilmore on the third floor.
Was it Alawai side of Kuhio?
Yes.
Is that the same structure that had angles and fusions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can't remember exactly. Lisa!
What you like? What you need?
I think it's still standing, but it's not open. I remember when people actually lived there. It was an apartment. Being in this space and looking at the end and seeing all that I've done, I'm like, I had a really cool life.
And you're still having.
I'm still doing my heart's desire. I love that I can say I've never failed me. I've never failed me. I've tried corporate several times and I can't do it. I'm not a corporate girl. I'm too creative for that. I'm really happy. I'm so freaking happy. James Coles and I had a conversation about how we would end our DJ careers. And we both agreed that we wanted to work in the gay clubs because we have musical freedom there. They don't harness you at all. So I got there first. I worked at Hamburger Mary's for 4 years. I was the first girl. And it was a blast.
Tell me about Hamburger Mary's. In Waikiki, it used to be adjacent to Hula's under that gorgeous banyan tree on Kuhio Avenue. Mr. Jack Law.
Yes.
Okay. What Hamburger Mary's and Hula's, were they of the same company?
No.
Separate
companies.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it ever dueling turntables, or was there shared music space?
For me, I can't say that it was dueling, but it was different, and you had the finest DJs playing there. I started going to Hula's when I was 15. So, yeah, I had that fake ID. Hamburger Mary's,
where you worked for 4 years.
I want to say, like, Hula's is Daniel J. And Hamburger Mary's is Miss Ahi. It's very, very different, but both good DJs. So I was there for 4 years. I had the best time of my life. I think it was a really good way to stop the full-time DJing. When I was pregnant with twins, we had 3 turntables, bare cement floor like this.
Okay.
And we had the shoddiest record racks that were painted pink. And we had various stickers all over the place. It didn't make any sense, but you knew where the music was. And the music was always in order. And it was a wraparound booth. It was really interesting. It was, you would walk into the DJ booth, and there's turntable 1, turntable 2, and then you turn a little bit, and there's turntable 3, and you make another turn, and there's another DJ rack. So it was kind of U-shaped, but the turntables faced this way.
Where was the dance floor?
The dance floor was wherever you wanted it to be.
That's Hamburger Mary's.
Yeah, it was in the pool room. It was by the bar. It was out over there. The first time I walked in there, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember I peeked my head in the door, and the door person went, "Eek, it's a girl!" And I turned around and left. Being hired there was different. So I came
How did you get the gig?
I was referred. Someone referred me, word of mouth. I never put in an application for any gig that I ever did. It was always, they would come to me and ask me. And the offer was sometimes pretty good enough for me to go, yeah, okay, bye-bye.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Rick Lopez was the house DJ. He knew how to work those 3 turntables. There was some kind of magic going on with that. I never grasped that, which is fine, because I'm not Rick Lopez. Peter Cross was another DJ that I got to work with that we still keep in touch. Johnny Torres, otherwise known as my sister Janet, he's still an active DJ in Portland, doing very well. Yeah, and Bougie is an active DJ on the mainland.
Okay.
The 3 of us were at Hamburger Mary's, well, Peter Cross, and yeah. When I became pregnant and I had the twins, we're all looking around going, she's gonna get big. So they took out the center turntable so I could go in and I could do my mixes, which I thought was really cool.
That is just like so cool.
Yeah.
Aww.
Accommodating the mama.
Yeah. The gays, they're awesome.
I
right?
had more aunties and uncles for those kids than I knew what to do with. It was wonderful.
When you're wrapping up your residency at Hamburger Mary's, what happened after that?
That was when I went to the military clubs.
Okay.
That's where that went. I started out with those DJs, J-Rock and Doc J. We worked for a guy named Obi.
Okay.
Obi had, I think it was a rock and roll clinic. Oceania, the floating restaurant. It was a boat made in China, and it was very ornate, and they had it at the pier. And so there was a nightclub there because it was very unique.
Wow, cool.
So that's how I started with those guys there. And then fast forward over the years, they're like, hey, you want to do a gig on the military base? Sure. So we did that. It was great.
When did it become not so much of a main and your DJing became more supplemental? Because you said that you continue to work with Coles. DJ James Coles learned how to DJ, spin music with you.
I was one of his mentors.
Okay.
Kevin Okada was another mentor. My mom was friends with Kevin when I was a little girl. He used to work at the photo shop at the Outrigger Waikiki, and my mom used to take her film to him. And they got to talking because he was really good friends with Anne Margaret. And my mom was a San Francisco model. So they used to, it was crazy. So then when I became a DJ and we found the connection, I went into the record pool and Kevin's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to get records. He's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm a DJ. And he was like, So he came to my club and I saw him standing, he came with Robin. Robin was another fine DJ. I saw him standing in the back and he just kind of went like that. And then he went and reported to my mom and he's like, oh my God, she's good. She's actually good.
BTW, by the way, if Kevin Okada beat record, I mean, if he says anything, he's aware of you.
That was the highest compliment.
Yeah.
The highest compliment, because he was another fine DJ. He didn't just have a record store.
Yeah.
He knew how to play. Oh my God, Rumours.
That's kind of a big deal. Because while Rumours, to the very end at the Ala Moana Hotel, people automatic say, oh, the cages.
Yes.
Were the cages always in Rumours?
No, Rumours went through, I think, 2 renovations. TJ Discos designed the first Rumours.
And what was that?
Very East Coast disco. Rex and Eric's, Rex's, we actually put that dance floor down.
Oh, lighted
And I
up,
think
yeah.
it's still there because it was still there when Scruples was there. And I can show you where I spilled the adhesive on the dance floor when we were laying it down.
Wow.
I made my mark. So that was that floor. But Rumours was the biggest nightclub at the time, way before Zanzibar. Biggest nightclub at the time. TJ took his East Coast experience, put it in there. It was successful. They went through a renovation, and then I think they went through another renovation, 2 that I know of specifically. Very trendy, very upscale. Well, back then the clubs were all dressed to impress.
And I want to say it's the 1980s.
Dress code. Collared shirt, no canvas shoes, no jeans,
No baseball caps.
no baseball caps.
Collared shirts. Or actually, more than collared shirts. I would think it's like button downs, maybe?
I think if you went
Coats?
to Spats, Spats was required
Yeah.
for that. Cilly's, yeah, don't come in Bora Bora.
So Rumours, time frame?
90s. I worked with Kevin Nakasone. And it was a lot of fun because that was kind of like a dream. I just thought it was a dream. You know, Rumours is way too big for me. That's out of my league. And, here I am. I'm like, I'm commander of this ship. It was it was wonderful.
What was the clientele like?
It was a mixed clientele. It depended on the night. If it was a Friday or a Saturday. I think one of the nights was the night that we played the kind of music that they didn't want me to play at Cilly's.
Okay.
But that's the fun stuff. That's the stuff that's got to be. That's the stuff that makes people go up in the go-go cages. I don't know how that came about, but I do know that they're at Scarlet.
Oh, in downtown Honolulu.
Yes. I think I grew out of Cilly's because of the way I was trained, the way I was brought up as a DJ.
And what was that?
I'm not downing anyone else or any other genre or any style, but I was raised classy. It's the way that I was raised in that time by my DJ dad. TJ was my DJ dad. Lisa taught me how to spin, and TJ taught me all the other stuff. And it was always that you dress appropriately because you're setting the example, act appropriately, you are being the example, play to the people as though you were playing for your friends in your living room. TJ and Lisa D and I just got together last week. And there was Mike Duran too. Mike came out with us afterwards. Mike Duran was a DJ at By Pagoda.
Stacey Bond?
No, that was live bands back in the day. We've even had our high school reunions there. Kalani Whitmarsh, my brother, my DJ brother, he worked at the club with Mike Duran and Benny James.
Benny James.
I love him, absolutely love him. James wanted to bring me on board as a DJ. He had gotten away from the turntables because schlepping all that stuff was a pain in
His back.
the old cole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do everything in heels, so it was a little difficult at my age, and carrying all the records and whatnot. So we're converting over to computers and controllers, and all you have to do is have this little box the size of a cell phone, and there's your record case. So James wanted me to work, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So he tried teaching me. No. Doc J tried. No. Benny James took the time, invited me to his home, worked with me on the controller, and I've been playing on it ever since. I like to say that he taught an old dog new tricks, but he also breathed new life into me as a DJ.
Was it exciting again?
It's very exciting again.
So see, that's that sound engineer want of yours, is just another way to share the music.
Yeah.
Do you still just prefer, if there were ways...
Give me turntables.
Yeah. What was the standard amount of vinyl that was on hand at all times? You would never play it. You just would, it was safety's sake, you know, was it 500 pieces, 100 records, because you would loop around, you know?
I never counted. It depended on what club you worked at. Mm-hmm. I always had 2 record cases, yay big, of my own.
Okay. The records that Ms. Ahi would always have in her quiver, what would those records be?
Well, you've got your top 20.
Say
my
then,
top 20 is the,
yes,
you know, or as
Infinity.
James Coles would
Yeah.
say, the B-side.
Right.
You know, the stuff that you don't hear on the radio, because we are so tired of hearing that stuff that we want to hear the different stuff. It's still my favorite song, Tremaine, Fall Down. Nobody knows who that is, except for James Coles.
I know, everything's a little asterisk, except for James. Holla.
Yeah. Well, he's a major part of my life. He is one of my dearest friends.
Mm-hmm. How did the two of you meet?
He came into Cilly's when he was 14 years old and asked me if he could play.
Did he bring his...
He brought a record or two, and I said no.
Okay.
And so we got to know each other. He lied and said he was 16. He was actually 14.
Did he have a mustache then?
No.
Okay.
He was a little boy back then. A cute little boy with a round head.
Yeah.
I eventually gave him some time and realized what I had. So I hired him. Mm-hmm. And then when I left Cilly's, I took him with me. And we did that for a couple of clubs. Mm-hmm. One club we went to go meet the manager. Mm-hmm. And it turned out to be his dad. He knew we were hired, but he never told James. Mm-hmm. So when we went that day to meet the management, it was like, Dad? Eventually, James spread his wings and has been doing that ever since. I think he's in his prime right now. He's definitely in his prime. But yeah, I came back. I went to the mainland to go to college. I came back because Jaina was 3 years old. I was like, these kids are going to grow up and I'm not going to be here to see them grow up. So when I went to the mainland, Jax was 18 months old. I have a picture. I'm holding him on my arm. So I came back when Jaina was 3, and now she's 13. Jensen, he works with Dad. So he's got some DJ skills. Jax has DJ skills. Jaina's a cheerleader. And they're all healthy and happy and good. I'm glad I came home to watch them grow.
Where you are now, when you look back, you know, you probably won't be able to name everyone, but just right in this conversation.
I'm so blessed that I'm still in touch with majority of those people. They're still in my life in, you know, one shape or form or another. And we do talk and we do text and we do Facebook, and like Facebook is like, I feel like everything else takes more time, which is good because that's where the quality is. TJ and Gary Calicott were the two that I really wanted to get back in touch with because they were both very influential. TJ because he gave me my first job, and Gary Calicott because he was the DJ that I admired. I used to go to the clubs to watch him spin, and he was phenomenal.
Where did he spin at?
He was at Rex and Eric's. He was at Valentino's. TJ put him in all the fine clubs because he wore a tuxedo.
I was going to say, what was his uniform? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's married, living in Asia. We keep in touch. We just talked last week. And it's so wonderful to be back in touch with him.
We started the conversation talking about being on the base, because she's a DJ, the foothills of Diamond Head. We are in Deja
Fashion and Arts Boutique.
And it's on the grounds of Unity Church.
Yes.
Just beautiful. This is my first time here, and just walking into the space, not even 50 feet from the sidewalk, and I really relaxed.
It's got a very special vibe. Mm-hmm. It's a very spiritual place. It's been around 80 plus years. Mm-hmm. This was actually a residence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with Deja Vu?
So my girlfriend Charmaine, who's my girlfriend / sister, she and I both did hospice work. She's a social worker. I'm marriage and family therapy. We ran a grief group upstairs there, and we knew there was a thrift store here, so we would come down on Tuesdays and it was always closed. So after a year, we're like, there's nobody there. We're not seeing the merchandise move. And we had talked about, what do we want to do in our second life? Let's open a boutique. So we went and we asked. The space was available. They asked us what our plan was. We're like, I don't know. We're not entrepreneurs. We don't know. What would you like to do? Grief-based, donations, blah, blah, blah. They loved the idea. We renovated. It took us 2 months to get everything together, and we ran it for 3 seasons. And then we closed for a year and a half because both our moms are aging. You know, my mom turned 100 last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. She is now in a nursing home, which freed up the opportunity for me to do this. Left the day job, and I'm just doing this. This is my little counseling area, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday I have the boutique, and life is good.
How did you come into having those specific bereavement kind of counseling as your pathway with clients?
I had talked about being pregnant with the twins earlier. I lost them in my 5th month, and I did not have grief counseling. I was on my own, basically. Plus I was out of town when it happened. So I knew I'd always wanted to be a therapist since high school. This gave me something specific to work with. I was administrative assistant at Kapiolani for a bunch of nurses, and one pulled me on the side and she said, I want you to come sit in with this grief counseling I'm going to do with this couple. So I did. And she gave me permission to speak, and I did. And at the end, she said, you need to go to school. You need to do this. So I did.
It's wild that people can see even more potential, no matter your age. They can see what you can't see, and it's good to be surrounded by people and to be open to allow that to happen.
Yes.
Women and even fathers who, if the baby doesn't come to term, I often think they're still moms and dads.
I don't mind talking about it because I want people to know, not just the moms, but the dads and the grandmas and the sisters. And I want them all to know that it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yes, it's very painful.
Yeah.
The pain will subside over time, but it takes time. It's been 31 years for me.
It's
so, and it's still very fresh. And I will still talk about it.
Yeah. I never want to be disrespectful.
They'll let you know. They'll let you know. The first person that I got a Happy Mother's Day from the first time, I rejected it. And I learned over time that I am a mother. Just because I'm not raising my son and my daughter or seeing them through school or watching them get married, I carried them. I held them in my arms. I am a mother. I always will be. So thank you.
People, when I came in, you were talking to 2 young women, and at the end of the purchase, there seemed to have been like a a thoughtful exchange that was happening.
This place kind of reminds me of chocolat.
Yes.
That's what this place reminds me of. When we did close this place, I had such a strong draw to come back. I never severed, I never disconnected. They never asked for the keys. I had the keys for a year and a half. I came back in here and keeping that vibe going. People who are sensitive can figure out what I do. It's not something that I talk about or broadcast, but I do healing touch. So she had a baseball cap that she purchased, and she kept saying it had this weird vibe on it. And even as I was walking them out, she still said she felt the vibe. So I took it to my heart, and I did healing touch on the hat. And then I handed it back to her, and she was like, "Whoa, I can feel that." I was like, okay, hopefully it's not as heavy and you can, wear it in love, peace, and happiness. And yeah.
Everything is everything.
Divine order.